teasing me. Now it's time to show and prove for action. Just all I can.
Welcome back to Robbie Minds. I'm joined by a social commentator, Emeke Anayi. Welcome to Robbie Minds.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
So I'm sure you are following the conversation from earlier on in the first segment, and we touched on quite a lot of things, and the reality of being a Nigerian now and in different parts of the world is grappling with high cost of living, namely food inflation, amongst others. You still have like the cost of shelter, you have issues with transportation that has also doubled. And I just want us to look at things from a policy level. The government is saying we should give time for some of these painful decisions to materialize. And when we look at agriculture, food security policies to address the food inflation, we have the Anchor Borrowers Program, we have the Nigeria Agribusiness and Agro-Industry Development Initiatives. And all these are things we hear about, but are they effective? Are these policies addressing the issues around the supply chain? Are these these policies addressing the issues within that agricultural sector?
I think in terms of the policies of the government thus far, the government continue to make, tell the people that these policies will assist you. But in checking the effectiveness of this policy, you have to ask the ordinary person on the street to say, do they feel this impact? Are they aware of these policies that you're making, and how true is it in terms of implementation? So if actually the people at the receiving end do not even know what these things are about, or even if they're aware, they do not have the ability to actually get the reward of it, then it means that it will not be providing the numbers of, how will I put it? So if you go further to see, the reason why government made the policies, actually in the first place, you have to first of all consult the people. And these people that you are making these policies for are not even aware of it. And if the policies exist, they do not seem to even know the advantage of these policies. So I doubt if these policies are actually fulfilling the purposes that they are meant for.
I mean, earlier on, we're talking about the issues around agriculture, food security, and something that has come up is the security in general, because farmers are unable to get to their farms because of the banditry. And as a result of that, they're not able to get food as quickly in the kind of quantity we want. So there was a time when tomatoes, which is easily consumed by so many people, went through the roof in terms of the price. So back to your point about that consultation, how should the government be consulting people within a sector to be able to pass policies that will be effective?
Yes. So when you talk about governance, it's about the people. So if you make policies without consulting the people, there you have issue. So for example, the security issue. So farmers as it is today, so a great number of farmers in the north and some other parts of the country are complaining that we do not have access to our farm. And security, you might improve other sectors of the economy, but if security is not okay, everything falls. So you may choose to say, okay, let's increase the electricity, let's do this. But if there's no security for that, then definitely it will crumble. So I don't see a situation whereby the government actually will also work on those aspects of it.
And when you say security affects everything, it actually does, because if people can't go to work, they can't go to their farms, or maybe you look at the Southeast, for example, they have a sit-at-home order, they can't go out on Mondays, for example, it affects productivity. Now I want us to move to something that a lot of people have said, if we can get this right, like security, we'll be able to solve problems, and that's education. And we know that there is a demand for tertiary education. The jobs out there are asking for 2-1s, they're asking for experience, but yet people can't afford it. Now, the government has come up with the student loan, and some people have spoken about how accessible is it. In your own view, do you think the student loan is effective, and do you think the government got it right with this kind of intervention?
I think in measuring the effectiveness of the student loan, you have to first of all take a look at, okay, clearly the application is online. So, but what I would anchor on is to say that government has not been doing enough to further sensitize the people about this loan. Because if you take a look at the report, you say some states, they have difficulty to actually access this loan. That is, some don't even know about what this loan is about. So there has to be a massive sensitization program for this. It's a good program because education, once you are able to improve the education through access to education, then you are a step ahead in terms of improving the economy and also increasing the level of literacy level.
So there's a lot of sensitization.
A lot of
needs to be done.
sensitization has to be done to achieve
And I
this.
think that was a point you made when we're looking at the agricultural, the food sector, that some of these initiatives might be there. But if people don't know about them, then how can they even be effective in the first place? So what does government need to do to create that sensitization?
So we are in a digital world, and so let's take, for example, the farmers. So you may even see that, okay, the farmers, not all of them have access to these technologies, but these people interact. So you have to take your sensitization program back to the grassroots. So a situation whereby you see a farmer in the village and you think that, okay, if I continue to put off adverts on television, on newspapers, some of these people don't have access to that. Some. So in such situation, you have to adopt a medium that will be able to take into consideration the peculiarity of those people who are not easily reached. So by that type of sensitization, you would have been able to, cover the feed. So to me, I feel that it is not enough to just post things on social media. It's not enough to just make a newspaper publication. You have to go to the roots, the people, the end users, to know whether do they know what this thing is about, and if they do, how can they access it? And you have to reduce the requirements, because some of these people might not be, vast on accessing. If you make the application to be online, how are they going to access it? So those are the things that needs to be considered.
So really reaching them in their language, reaching them in the medium that they consume. So whether it's radio, using local language, breaking it down. And you spoke about the requirements, looking at what they can afford, whether it's the collateral, whether it's the down payments, what is feasible. So government needs to be more in tune. I'd like to move to something that, has been on the news for a while, and a lot of Nigerians have come out to say, look, we can't continue living like this with the minimum wage. Cost of living has doubled, tripled. And yes, we got to the figure of 70,000 naira, but is that minimum wage, does it reflect the realities of the Nigerian? Is that a good figure, or should we have pushed for more?
I think we should push for better economic policies. Because if you push for better economic policies and improved governance and economies, then you will not be so much bothered about the figure. So if you increase this minimum wage to 120,000 and inflation, there is hyperinflation, then it will reduce the value of that 120,000. So if actually the earning power of that 70,000 naira would measure up, then it will be fine. So determining the effectiveness of that minimum wage as to know whether it is okay or it is not okay, you have to know the purchasing power of that 70,000 naira. But as it is today, the purchasing power of 70,000 naira is far lower. And as such, you cannot actually classify that as an improved or enhanced minimum wage.
So what are some economic policies that this government should be implementing so that we have that all-round development that, as in your own words, increases the purchasing power of the naira?
So it's a holistic approach. So you won't just pick one sector of the economy in isolation of the other. And I've made mention to say that, okay, the beginning is security. Because once you have security, at least you can build things on it. But if there's no security, there's nothing. So government has to improve the security system. And also in terms of trade and investment, people want to see transparency, and I want predictability in terms of doing business in Nigeria. So if you make policies today, be consistent with it. So a situation whereby you make a particular policy today, tomorrow you say something else, then people won't trust you. Even the foreign investors will be skeptical interacting with you. So I think that the government has to, make policies in terms of transparency, trade and investment. And to me, also, in terms of agriculture, it is not enough for you to just, okay, say you want to continue to give people once in a while, you give bag of rice and all that. You have to give them the seed. You have to give them the avenue. You have to give them the environment to plant. So once they are able to do that, then they will be able to generate income. And they will not even need that bag of rice because you've been able to enhance their earning ability. So with that, they can live comfortably. That is my own point of view in that.
But in the short run, what are the quick wins? Because in the midst of the protest, the president came out and took some very bold decisions and said, okay, they're going to open the borders and they're going to lift the imports on food importation, the import duties. So I was listening to you and you were saying, look, you can't say one thing today and you say another thing tomorrow. Yeah. But what happens in situations where you have to make choices to address the immediate needs? Is that the way to go?
Yeah, to me, the decisions you make, because governance is about listening to the people. So you have a situation whereby the citizens, the general public are shouting, complaining saying that we are suffering. So part of what you have to do as the head of government is to call these people to say, okay, what will I be able to do to actually cushion the effects of this? And you might not be able to have the exact perception of what the people at the receiving end are suffering until you are able to go to them to say, okay, what are the policies that I should take? But in another aspect is that, okay, you also have known better when you took up the mantle of leadership. So to me, I feel that government should have this open consultation with the people. So open consultation with the people will be able to tell the government to say, okay, these are the pressing area. And part of it is issue of the PMS. Part of it is the issue of the PMS. So a situation whereby there's a reduction in the price, that would, to a great extent, cushion the effect. So I believe that a step in the right direction will include reduction in the price of fuel.
So in essence, this government needs to be in tune with the people.
Yes.
This government needs to consult so that they don't just take reactive decisions, but they are more proactive in the decision making.
Yes, people-oriented decisions.
People-oriented decisions. Thank you very much, Emeke Anayi, a social commentator, for being our guest here on Rubbing Minds.
Yeah, great to be here.
Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show